Dear ladies and gentlemen, today we are living through a global energy and climate crisis. A combination of an economic boost after COVID-19, geopolitical tension and a massive failure of old French nuclear power plants. This makes energy prices spike for households and enterprises. In times of distress and uncertainty, there are three reactions possible. The first one is flee. Flee from our responsibility to tackle climate change. Postpone our ambition for reduction of CO2 emissions. A second reaction is freeze. Don't act. Halt investments. Wait what the market will do. That's a waste of precious time we simply don't have. And a third reaction is fight. And that's what we should do in order to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. As policy leaders, we need to act now, but not alone. The energy transition needs to be a managed transition in the years to come, with both action from governments and regulatory authorities, action from decisive political leaders, and engagement from all countries, big and small, cooperation also between countries. Governments across Europe are taking short-time action to relieve the heaviest burden on the energy bill. And this is very necessary, but we have to admit this is a painkiller. We need a stronger response, a vaccine. We need to invest today in the energy of tomorrow. Renewable energy, energy efficiency. We need to implement the Green Deal, the European strategy to become climate neutral by 2050. And this is what this session is about offshore wind and about artificial energy islands. Belgium is a world leader in offshore wind energy. In 10 years' time, we have become the second largest offshore wind energy producer per inhabitant in the world. And we are a global leader in this technology. We have recently decided to triple our offshore wind to a total capacity of maximum 5.8 gigawatts. And this means that in the new Princess Elisabeth zone, we will develop 3.1 gigawatts to 3.5 gigawatts of wind capacity. And this is in line with heightened European climate ambitions, advances also in technology and progressive insights. Clearly, this is an ambitious target, and we will need to address technical complexities, how to achieve this in a relatively small area. But the target set by the government, a stable regulatory framework, together with the entrepreneurial spirit, will do the job. And there is simply no other way. To move towards a climate-neutral energy system, we need renewable energy in large quantities. And for Belgium, this means investments in offshore wind energy. And these investments in renewable energy will protect us from price hikes we see today. The North Sea has the capacity to become the biggest sustainable power plant. And this ambition will be a game changer, because we need to rethink how we plan offshore wind parks, how we connect them to each other and also to land, because we will be sharing the electricity across Europe. Energy islands will be a crucial next step. I talked about capacity increase in our own Princess Elisabeth zone. Every Belgian household will be supplied by green electricity generated in the North Sea by 2030. And this increase is possible thanks to the very first offshore energy island in the North Sea. It is one of our investments in energy infrastructure for the future. It is also part of the post-COVID-19 recovery plan. It will be designed and built between now and 2026. And this offshore energy island has the potential to provide the grid connection for the 3.5 gigawatts of energy production from the Princess Elisabeth zone. And also, on top of that, to realize interconnections. And this hybrid combination allows us to be efficient in grid planning. We don't need additional grid reinforcement on land. At this moment in time, we are finalizing the grid design. This was approved by the federal government before Christmas, and we are awaiting now the advice of the Council of State. In 2022, so this year, a full environmental impact assessment will be performed to map the environmental impact of the energy island and provide mitigation measures where needed. Our island, it will be the first, but not the last. Our Belgian industries have a large demand for green electricity, which we cannot produce on our own. And therefore, we joined forces with Denmark. Last November, my Danish colleague Dan Jurgensen and I, we signed a memorandum of agreement in Copenhagen, and it should lead to the construction of an undersea electricity connection between our two countries. It will be called the Straeten link, and it is named after the King of the Sea. This project is also a world first. It's an undersea connection between two artificial energy islands in the North Sea, and it will bring the energy from wind farms ashore, a project that will share wind surpluses generated in Denmark with Belgian households and Belgian industries. We worked hard the last year on a preliminary study, and the findings show that the project is both socio-economically and technically feasible. It will lead to significant CO2 reductions at European level, an annual reduction of 4 megatons of CO2. This is the emission of about 1.2 million passenger cars. Hybrid interconnectors, to which both own wind farms and foreign ones can be connected, are important building blocks to connect European wind farms to build these meshed grids. A meshed grid that will be the cornerstone of the European ambition to fully decarbonize energy systems. The next years will be about how to integrate bulk renewables in the European electricity system, and it will also be about grid stabilization. And energy islands, as well as hybrid interconnectors, will be pivotal. We, as a country, Belgium, we pioneered in offshore wind 20 years ago, and we are pioneering today again. And such innovations are crucial to turn the North Sea into one big renewable energy plant, to have access to large amounts of cheap renewable energy, much needed for electrification of transport and heating, and to decarbonize our energy-intensive industry, and also to meet European climate targets. Wind at sea is one of the cheapest ways of producing energy. Wind power is falling sharply in price and will have a positive effect on the price for consumers. Innovative infrastructures like energy islands will further increase the security of supply. The Belgian energy island and the Belgian-Danish interconnection are a historic and ambitious step on the road to phasing out fossil fuels. The global energy and climate crisis should force us to accelerate towards 100% renewable energy and climate neutrality instead of slowing us down. Yes, these times, they are challenging. Some would say the roaring 20s. But to quote Seneca, if one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable. Our destination is clear. It's carbon neutrality by 2050. Our destination is to address climate change. And yes, the water can be rough, and it will be from time to time. And then what you need is experienced and calm helmsmen. The combination of a clear policy vision and the ambition of the wind industry will guide us, and it will allow us to push borders. What's good for the climate is good for the economy and for society as a whole. I thank you all for listening, and I hope we will meet in real life as soon as possible.